quarterly?
I do. I'll leave you to start and send this.
Oh, thanks. Alright. Sorry, gentlemen, for being a little bit late and
That's fine.
out of order.
We call you the late John Calvert.
Yeah.
Did they give us a
Where were
paper
those-
agenda?
Those two pictures you sent us, where were they? Where were you?
Oh, that Old Orchard Beach.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Not the best weather week, but pretty good. Definitely promoted relaxing instead of running around and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I've got a brother-in-law lives up there.
Hold up for you if you want.
Thank you, Jason. Alright, so we have 5:01. I would like to call this meeting to order. Please everyone rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That is a timeout. Alright. Well, good evening, everyone. For this, on the agenda this evening, we'll be discussing the fireworks ordinance. Have a discussion about the Memorial Day Parade Committee, some possible ZBA appointments, and then also a roundtable discussion regarding non-public minute law change that went into effect, or is going into effect in October. All right, so with that, Mike, Gary, thanks for coming in. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, because we were kind of going over the fireworks ordinance, and I believe the question was raised, what's the importance to it in our community? Because there's at least one surrounding community that doesn't have an ordinance for fireworks or a permitting process.
I thought we had discussed fireworks and licensing for that a year ago.
So I believe the discussion about a year ago was in regards to whether or not we truly needed a 2-week lead time ahead of like issuing a permit. So if somebody wanted to have it, say, on July 14th, if they got their permit on the 10th, typically it would have been denied. But over the last few years, that we started to shorten that window, and as long as the police and fire chiefs were, willing to sign off on it, then why wouldn't the select board sign off on it too? So we just went through and changed that element of the ordinance, and I can't remember if it cut it down to a week or if there is no deadline, for submittal.
That's 7 days.
Is it seven days? Okay, yeah. Yep. And then now, I believe Jason had brought it up a few weeks or more ago. What was it? Was it Ringe?
There was actually a surprisingly few number of towns that have ordinances in the
Oh,
state.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, so then that's what kind of is driving this discussion, like, do we truly need the ordinance or the permitting process and what the value is? And that's why we asked to, speak with our, have the police chief come in and, fire chief to, speak on the importance of it, or if it's something that we can do away with. Right? Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll turn it over to you fine gentlemen, and I don't know if you do rock, paper, scissors, who wants to speak first, or?
I don't mind speaking to it. I think in its most part is mostly the purview of the fire department. Hence why the permit would go, application would go to the fire chief or his designee first. That gives them a chance to do, am I correct, an inspection?
Due diligence,
Yeah.
depending on the level of show of what they're doing,
Yeah.
So there's, I just as a common sense approach, I think that, that inspection is valuable, and to the point where, when there's a face-to-face like that with the permittee, they're then usually probably brought up to speed with the laws, the hazards, the ordinance, and the expectations, just around the town ordinance and the state law. On the PD side, it's very good for us, and it's a good time-saving document, because when the permit is issued, the town sends the PD the date and time of the fireworks display. So if we get a complaint at that point, we can look at our list rather than having to maybe go through an entire investigation, figure out where the fireworks are coming from, who's displaying them, and are the conditions right to display them? Is there a high fire danger or anything like that? Where the permit or the ordinance already explains that, right?
Mhm.
So for us, if we get a complaint over the phone or somebody walks into the PD, we can quickly check a list and say, well, there's a permit at that location. It's been verified that it's okay to light, the conditions are correct and or accurate or safe, and they're good to go to that to run their fireworks display, and we know who they are.
So if there was no ordinance, how would you handle it? If
Well-
someone called and complained?
Yeah, so we'd follow the 106, 160B, the 160C, RSA. The downside to that is we wouldn't know where, so sometimes it can take a little bit of time to locate whether they're where the display is being taken or where the fireworks are being lit off. So that takes time and effort. The other is the ordinance also gives them like, hey, these are the do's and the don'ts. So it kind of puts them on notice, and I think people really behave when they know the rules, right? They're like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, if you apply for it, get the permit, and been issued the ordinance, you say, oh, these are the parameters of how I should display the fireworks safely. And it just puts a lot of questions and doubt and concerns to bed prior to the display of fireworks.
Right.
Right, so, like being 50 feet away, don't light them off past, 10 p.m. because of the local town noise ordinance, unless you get a waiver for the noise
Doesn't get
ordinance.
dark till 9:30 even on the 4th of July.
Right.
So that, right.
Right, so it depends. I don't know what the average length of a display is. If it's 5 minutes, if it's 2 hours, I don't really know. But at least here, if I get called in, there's a complaint or an excessive complaint, I have a little bit of backbone too, and say, hey, I know you applied. It's now 10:45. You're beyond the town ordinance, noise ordinance. Can you refrain from lighting off any other fireworks so we don't get any more complaints? And again, it gives us something to go off of. And then, and also, the fine here, like we've talked about in other, if there was a fine issued, if we issued the fine under the town ordinance, 15-03, that fine would come back to the town and not to the state.
Okay.
Right, so if it's a $250 or $500 fine or whatever it might be, the town would get the money versus the state getting the fine. And by people getting the permit, I think they're, like I said, they know about the ordinance, they know about what the expectations of the display, and it's just, I think it's easier to manage that complaint when they know about this stuff and have that information.
Okay.
Then if you get in a commercial venue, so to speak, like Killfest didn't do them this year, but they've done them in years past, they fill out the permit with a large public event, that becomes, under the fire marshal's purview, they get involved with it with us. Or if he's gonna do something down at the field where it's a full public, there's a whole set of rules that go along with that. So that's where the permitting is nice to know where they're gonna happen. If we feel it's a commercial type venue, then we'd get some expertise from the fire marshal's office to view that. So I think, by cutting down the time frame, I think will help, but know where they're located, because I know that even this past, you hear people just doing them, but they're getting noise complaints and people are calling and you see it, So it's just a kind of a tracking is all it is.
Yeah.
I don't know of any that we've actually denied more than help them out to make sure that they do it properly, so.
Okay. So what I think I'm hearing is that there's possible time saving like to have people register their fireworks just so that you're aware of it, like on your end, probably on your end too, like if a
Right.
call comes in, then you guys aren't having to, spend time, because the state does have regulations.
Right.
Like, so if it's a high fire warning, then it would have to be,
Then you could shut
Looked
that
into.
off, right, exactly. We have an email that, hey, we're in a class 5 danger, please don't, you can't do them just because of the fire danger, so.
yeah, and then also, education, like it gives you a chance to
Yeah,
educate the
it's-
people that come in to get the permit.
Right, yeah.
Mm.
Should we think about creating a little pamphlet or a book or something that we give out with each permit?
Yeah, I'm not sure, is there anything that you already do, like, or is it just a phone call?
Usually it's a phone call,
Yeah,
So if somebody's buying fireworks, I'm looking at the RSA 160, that's the responsibility of the seller to provide. Any person engaged in selling permissible fireworks shall make available to the purchaser a pamphlet approved by the commissioner detailing the appropriate and safe use of permissible fireworks being sold.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have a display there, like a pamphlet display, and I guess it's gonna, you could grab one on the way out, if you will. I'm not so sure that they're,
People do, but right,
yeah,
that's,
handing it to
it's-
everybody in their bag of fireworks, but I don't know.
So my next question would be, how many incidents have we had over the years where it's required either the police or, besides just checking and then saying, oh, okay, guys, you have to be done by such or whatever. How many incidents have we had?
I think very few,
right.
and I think the
You're-
permitting has
I
really
mean,
helped.
Hillfest, they didn't do any fireworks at Hillfest, but
But they
as far as the
do,
public display this year, but.
if I remember right, they do, they come to the town, don't they? Isn't there some sort of large public event?
yeah, well, yeah,
Venue
they
thing,
ask, yeah, like, I can't remember what that, request is each year, but we'll probably be getting it soon for next year, cause it kinda comes in a year ahead of the event.
Yeah, I don't remember what that. I know they work with Mike a lot.
Right,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
part of
they
it
come
might be the
forward,
noise
but-
ordinance waiver
Yeah.
up front.
Oh,
You know what I mean? 'Cause they'll run their show till, between 10 and 11.
Yeah,
So that's past the town noise ordinance.
yeah,
So that might be one of them. And then whether there's permitting, and then they also have to get, I'm not sure of the other permitting, so,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I think that might be the primary
Right.
point to it, is that,
and then to coordinate traffic
Yeah.
has been in recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've done a really good job.
and, since I don't wanna get too far down this rabbit hole,
Right,
but
yeah.
in past years, I've heard a lot of, people, calling out even during the event for, the traffic wasn't running right and all these issues and things. And this year I heard not one,
Right, right.
like, out from the community, and
Yeah.
got no phone calls,
Right.
like while the event was going
Yeah.
on, so,
And I think that's just, it's coming with experience. So there's certain, as the venue matures, they're, working out the little kinks that they've learned along the way. And they've done a really good job,
Yeah.
and I'm very proud of them. And I think it's a great venue for this community. And it just brings a lot of talk to the area and a lot of people to the area. And it's fun. It's a good
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
because there's only ever just traffic.
Right.
That was it,
And
yeah,
on the PD
Yeah.
side, we, knock on wood, we haven't had one arrest up there, nothing. I mean, just really well behaved, great venue,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's good to hear.
Yep.
Yeah, so Jason, you had kind of brought this forward.
Yeah.
So
Well, when I
wanna
when
kind of hear
I
the.
read it on a news article, I think it was, I can't remember now, 14, 18 towns who restrict fireworks.
Altogether?
I could look it up.
Oh.
It was very few. It
Yeah.
struck me. It was like, what? And then I looked at some of the neighboring towns who have no, and I thought, In fact, I should back off. That it may have been the other way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't remember, but whatever it was, some of the neighboring towns have
Correct.
have nothing, and they're not small towns. And I wondered, okay. And then, of course, me being me, I think of John Adams, saying Independence Day for all posterity should be celebrated with guns and parades,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they had fireworks back then,
Right.
but it was in that light. And I remember a few times each year people coming in and saying, I can't do a 4th of July because I missed the deadline. That's why we switched it to 7 days.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm like, why? I mean, the state has laws, everything's written down for safety. Why do we need to add another layer to people celebrating that?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that the intent is to restrict people from doing it. I mean, that's not the intent.
It may not
It all,
be.
in my mind, is, but it's just to have a public knowledge of where they are. So when the people call in, hey, there's smoke going across my yard, well, you can look, okay, they're doing fireworks, or they're, it's trying to stop that, just going out chasing stuff for.
But
No
you shouldn't
cost.
have to, because you should be able to tell them, yeah, this is the New Hampshire state law. They can light off fireworks.
Right.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
No,
But the
I'm
other part of
saying
that
It's,
is
it's no different than people burning brush. They get a permit to burn brush, and the next thing we know, the neighbors are calling because there's smoke in the area.
yeah,
Yeah.
But we can look on the permit and say, hey,
Right.
okay, they're burning brush, we don't need
an
everything,
apparatus.
we don't need all the apparatus.
So
Well, I
and
can
that's
see a difference.
Well, it's a good point. Well, yeah, kind of the same-ish to me, because why wouldn't you be able to burn your brush? Like it's the same type of,
Right.
unless the high fire warnings. But just that point of people calling. One thing I was thinking, like, can we post the information of where these things are going to be occurring so that people can just look up for themselves instead of
They
making
won't.
that phone call?
You know,
Yeah.
I've been here since 2006, I didn't know you had to get a permit for fireworks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so that's my whole thing is
yeah.
the laws are in place. Let freedom ring.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say on my side, I would like to see the ordinance stay in effect. I think there's a value to it to public safety and the people that have to respond to these types of calls, whether it be fire or police. And if we can save time and end a complaint in a quick and efficient manner, I'm for it. And I'm also for the display of fireworks. I believe people should be able to display their fireworks, so I would not want to restrict them. And I've certainly told people that have complained that there's a permit in place, they're doing it legally, we're not going to get involved. They're good to go. Well, I don't want. I'm sorry, they're following the rules, they're following the laws. What do you want to go over there and watch it?
Yeah.
No, so
But
I
that-
have to stay out of it, but I can at least tell them that, they know what they're doing, that they've been permitted, they know the rules and regulations, they're doing it safe, and
But
that ends the complaint.
In my mind, you would do the same thing.
Right.
You would just tell them, the state law says such and such.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do unless if you feel like they're doing it in violation of the state law. Right?
Yeah, and it's hard
So-
because like the permissible permit, the permissible fireworks, the classification, I'm not naive to believe that you can't get illegal fireworks, right? Fireworks that are outside the classification of legal fireworks in New Hampshire,
Sure.
but I don't know. Like I said, I think there is a process, but I like the process, and I think it helps with the complaints, and it helps with accountability to the people who are displaying them.
Mhm.
And my other, I'll say, objection to it is so many things, like we just heard, I didn't even know there was an ordinance. So many things we make law-abiding people accidentally not law-abiding. And if we can limit that, because the more times we do that, the more people begin to throw up their hands and say, no matter what I do, I'm breaking the law.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It was similar to like putting stop signs in places where they don't belong. People will run the stop sign. They don't want to,
All right.
but if you drive it 2 times a day, you're just like, this is a nightmare. And so, in my mind, in situations like that, the thing to do is take down the stop sign. There's already laws in place. So, and really a big driver for me was hearing a veteran tell me, I'm not going to be able to do fireworks because I missed the deadline by 2 days. And that,
Was that this year or?
no,
Yeah.
it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having it moved to 7 days doesn't, in my mind, that doesn't change anything.
Mm.
There's now this thing you have to go through, even though it's not illegal.
Mhm.
And the difference to me with brush fires is, you know, fireworks are pops, and a brush fire is an extended outdoor fire. To me, I get the brush fire permit, but I don't get the fireworks permit. So,
Mhm.
Do I need a permit to have a campfire in my yard?
they're free, I believe. Are they?
But you can go online and get them. We encourage people to go
So you
online
need a
just
permit to
because.
get it, have a campfire?
Yes, yes.
What if I decide the last minute I want a campfire tonight?
You can go online and get it right now.
Or you could get it.
And that one's free.
Well, there's a $2 or $3 fee if you do it online. So
Or you could come into the town office.
Or you come into the town office, we have one, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But if you
But the
forget,
one
you're
on-
you can go online and get it immediately.
And the one online, you can also get it for the whole season or a year or something like that.
Yeah, depends on what it is, you know.
So then, yeah, I'm just thinking about, you know, the 4th of July, it's kind of an assumption that there's going to be fireworks displays in general. Would it be worth entertaining like that, like no permit required for the 4th of July? Just cause it's just that assumption that people are going to be doing that, like for that weekend or?
I think, to the chief's point of just knowing where they're going to be,
But let's have some straight talk. How many? How many do you know where they're gonna be? Because like we heard, people aren't even aware.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the other thing comes, how big the display is it really spelled out here?
Mhm.
It could be lighting off a pack of fireworks, would fall under that. You know, so, and to that possible solution, I think it complicates things.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this: how did we get here? How did we get to having a town ordinance? What was the catalyst to that? Did we have a problem? Did we have fires? Did we have incidences that said, "Hey, we must do something with the fireworks"? We're having an issue. I don't know the answer to that because it's before
That
my
was
time.
why I asked
Right.
at the very beginning.
So I mean,
Like,
we
how
somehow
many?
we got an ordinance because there was. I don't think somebody just said one day we should have an ordinance. I think it was probably prompted by issues,
We don't know.
but we don't. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's been
See if there are any
here.
issues.
What's that?
Cancel it and see if there are any issues.
That would be my feeling. Yeah.
Lou, do you have any thoughts on the subject or?
I don't know, what happens if you just reduce it down to a 2-day sign-up period?
I think it's still not the point, like the overall point, but I understand, yeah. And then it turns into more of like a speed shuffle of paper, you know, and then what if they like do it on a Thursday, you know, and you know, some people are off on Friday or,
Well, the town office is closed.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then one of us would have to come in and sign off on something, yeah. So it's kinda, I think that's where that 7 days comes in. Yes, Jay?
We're discussing this, why, did somebody, I came in like halfway through this, so don't rehash the whole thing, but
Yeah.
did somebody get caught without time enough to get a permit? Is that why you're discussing this?
It's happening.
Yeah.
That's one of the motivators.
Okay, well, here's the thing, we all know Christmas happens every year, we all know anniversaries happen every year, we plan ahead. You know you're gonna be lighting off fireworks, you know you need a permit. come into the town office a week ahead of time and get your permit. It's the adult thing to do, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
just because you don't think ahead, plan ahead to do it and do it right, so we make the rules go away.
Yeah.
But it's not a required rule by the state. It's something that we voluntarily adopted.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be a state law, you can have your own town ordinances.
That's what we're discussing.
Is there a charge
Should we
for a
have
permit?
this ordinance or not?
What's that, Ron?
Is there a charge for the permit?
Yeah, $15.
Well, you can waive the charge.
You can waive the charge, I
Right.
would say, no charge them anything, make sure they come get a permit. Why do you gotta put
Well,
some more burden on the people?
That's a good point.
Right.
Like, do we know where the money, like what department that goes to, or does it just go into the?
No idea, I know the fire department doesn't get it, so
That's
it must go in, I'm assuming it goes into the general fund.
Just goes into the general fund.
That would be my assumption, but.
Okay. Alright, yeah, and there's really not more than maybe 20, 30 that come in a year. You know, just think of the ones I sign off on, there is that,
Very repetitive too.
Yeah.
Same families a lot of time, yeah.
yeah,
And they put in a permit, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah, my concern is that,
Vote for reason.
you know, if they're not talking to somebody, they're not going to know about the fire restrictions because of the dry weather.
mhm,
They may not know there's a restriction to size of fireworks they can light it without a license.
yeah, yeah,
But the whole thing, all of that is covered under the RSA's, and there's many towns in this state who don't have any sort of ordinance. It's clearly left up to the town. And my first question here for you, who came in a little later, was how many incidents do we have with fireworks? Because you know not everybody's getting permits. And so if we can remove a layer of bureaucracy from people's lives, I think it's a healthy thing.
mhm. Yeah, no, it's tough, I just, you know, I tend to go based off of, you know, department head input and like checking to see if it makes sense to, you know, remove a piece or, and not hearing that there's too much support for removing it,
I think it becomes more of a police issue because they're the ones that's gonna have to chase the noise complaints when the neighbors start complaining, you know.
yeah. Now, what do you think, like the fee, the point, like there's not that much money that comes in off that, you know, the fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the
so I
fee
don't
is
know.
irrelevant, but,
Exactly.
right, I don't, you know, but obviously it's not gonna change the town's financial situation, so.
You
it's-
might get more permit if there's no charge.
Right, right,
Yeah,
I would request that the town send out a list of all things required permits to all the citizens of the town, because, you know, you guys get hundreds of them from the sounds of it, no one knows about.
yeah. Yeah,
Having a campfire, I think is ridiculous to have a permit, but I guess you have to have one. So,
That's state law, that's not a town
that's
ordinance,
fine,
that's a
but I'm
state
saying,
law.
if the town sent out a list of things you need to get a permit for, it'd make things a lot easier for the people.
yeah. I can see that, yeah, maybe like some type of communication of at least a link, but then
Yeah.
we gotta clean up our website and make it more user friendly, before we start driving more people there, I think. Cause there's some pretty simple things that I get calls on and I'm like, oh, where is this? It's online, but it takes some awkward movements through the website to get there, yeah, yeah.
So you feel like it's worth it to keep this ordinance in place so that the police can say they filed a permit as opposed to saying the state law allows this? You feel like that's worth it to keep the ordinance in place? There's been no safety issues that I've heard.
Yeah,
People, noise complaints come, they just do. It's not irregular.
yeah.
So you really,
No, I just,
because I'm looking,
I'm chewing on it right now.
Yeah, I know,
Like,
and
making
looking
sure.
at it from
So
this-
like looking at two of our department heads and removing something that they both have value to is
It
what
sounds
is,
like
is what
very
I'm
little
pulling.
value is what I.
But it's
Yeah.
still
Well, I'm saying,
like
yeah,
it's there.
I think we should keep them.
Yeah.
My stance is we should be
Goes-
keeping, we
goes
should be
both
keeping
ways. I
this
mean,
ordinance.
Yeah.
It's valuable, it puts some accountability on the people that display fireworks, and lets us know when these displays are taking place. It does, it's valuable to us, and I agree with you, right? There was times or ordinances that maybe aren't necessary, but I think this is one that is, and, there's value to it, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess, but how many people have missed their fireworks because they didn't have a permit?
I heard
was
that
the
one,
and-
because then the other thing is to my point of making criminals out of honest people is a shame in my mind.
Yeah, and I know a couple people that were very late but we were able to accommodate them. You know, within that 14-day period, which was previous, and that we worked with, I know I did this last year. Okay, you missed it, here's your permit, we'll rush it through and get it done so you can get it done.
No, likewise, yeah, just to that point
So,
of,
but
you know,
we-
why, if we have two department heads willing to sign off, fire primarily and then police is fine, I would just sign them, like, whenever they came in too, you know, so it
Right.
just,
It's true.
yeah,
Imagine if they didn't have to take time out of their life to come and fill out this paperwork and talk. They could just celebrate the 4th of July.
yeah,
So looking at it from the town seal side, we have the department head saying it helps them managing calls. Looking at it from the town people's side, in my mind, well, I think I pretty much
Yeah,
said
no,
how I
yeah.
feel.
No, I get
For
it.
the average person to be able to live just a skosh more free is worth a lot to me.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah. If you'd like to make a motion, I'm not hearing too much, like, can't speak for Lou, but it kinda sounded like he had value, like heard value in the permitting too.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, certainly would always entertain a motion if you want to make one at this point, or hold off, you know, cause like I said, I wanna kinda chew on it a bit. Nobody knows, you know, the money goes into the general fund, and it's not a lot of money, so I wouldn't, you know, be opposed to, removing the fee, for that, you know, cause it doesn't really cut into anybody's time frame. And if it does, the $15 probably doesn't really cover someone driving, you know, 2 or 3 people driving down to sign off on a permit or whatnot. So were you intending on making any type of motion?
Is the board ready to make a decision on it? Or would it be, because I'll make a motion that we rescind our permissible fireworks ordinance.
Is there a second?
No
I'll second it for the point of discussion. You know, so I'd like to, you know, like I had already said, I'm not at that point, to, rescind the ordinance entirely. But if you were willing to, change that to, you know, take the fee out of it, at least for one initial, you know, like step in that, like, direction, so to speak. I'd be in favor of that.
I would rather not.
Okay,
I'd rather have the motion be to rescind the ordinance.
okay. Lou, do you have anything you wanna discuss in regards to that?
No, I'll just wait till the vote.
Alright. All in favor of rescinding, the fireworks ordinance? All opposed? Nay. Yeah. You gotta speak.
Excuse me? Oh, my,
A hand, yeah, it
it
doesn't,
was, nay on the vote.
okay, so motion failed. Alright.
Now, can we make a motion to set a permit fee?
To set, Well, you have to make the or to rescind the fee. Is that what you're saying, or because there is a fee of $15?
And just say reduce it down to $5, $2, whatever you wanna do.
Yeah, whatever you want. And I'm of the mind like for it to be zero, like instead of making it $1, but
Well, we could capitalize on it and raise it.
No, I don't wanna raise the fee. No, I'm looking at reducing the fee.
Mm.
Cause right now you're talking about $15, $20
yeah,
for the most part. You know, I'm just looking at tracking, you know, what the weather's going to be like during the time. And, I don't want it to actually cost people, much money. But we need to be able to track it so that we know who and where when phone calls come in.
alright, so at this point, I'd like to kind of move on, cause we have some people in, like to discuss some other items, tonight. So, you know, if you're okay with that for this point, we'll, move on from the fireworks ordinance discussion.
Okay.
And if we need to, bring it up at a future date.
Okay.
Alright, so with that, next up on the agenda is the Memorial Day Committee discussion. Who all's in for that? Pretty much everybody? Yeah. Ollie?
Yeah, John Poirier and Lance LeBlanc.
Okay,
And myself.
yeah. Okay, so what would you like to discuss this evening? I wasn't a part of the formation of this subject matter as being on vacation last week, so Jason, were you?
Yeah, I was, well, I think we've talked about it after this year's Memorial Day, you know, the next meeting we had a little round table on the Memorial Day, and it was mentioned that a few of you gentlemen are looking to pass the torch, and I don't know how many and what that will look like, and so that's why I asked if Ollie could come in and give us a heads up on where we're at with these things.
I didn't know we had any, well, go back, yeah, I think between Dawn and Lance and myself, you know, we're kind of north of Young.
We're a bit old. The thing is, Ollie's going to be leaving. He just can't, you know, he told me at the last Memorial Day, so this is gonna be my last one.
Yeah.
And with myself, I'm the guy that's out front all the time, like, probably like maybe 1999 or 2000. One of the guys says, Don, you look good in your uniform. Do you mind being parade marshal next year? And stupid me, being in the military, I guess I kind of volunteered for 1 year. I've been doing it for like 22 years now.
Yeah.
And I don't mind being out there, but I don't think I can get involved in the preparation and all that. You know, and of course Lance, he's one of the best ones that's, I mean, you know, like Ollie said, we're north of the age limit to keep going. And I mean, there's so many veterans in this town, and you just wish that some of the younger men would come forward and say, hey, you know, let me take over, or let me, you know, just show us what you have to do. It's not that complicated. The thing is, Ollie knows a lot about the background because he's part of the town, working town with the cemetery commission and all. So he knows everybody, he knows how to make the calls.
Yeah, and that is interesting because when we talked about it, we weren't even sure if this was an appointed committee. It seems like it was an ensemble. You guys just came together and
Yeah,
stepped in.
the
and-
torch kept getting passed to different people. People leave the town, people have passed away.
Yeah.
One of the original guys was Dennis Govan,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
he wasn't in the military, and he really did a terrific job of getting everything printed up, and so we had you know, all the letters together that we can, you know, just add to it and you know, get things done pretty quickly. And then we also had, you know, we do have Carl Toko, who puts a lot of time in updating the markers from the veterans, working on actually, and Bruce Hollow too, I think they, a couple of hundred or more, veteran, monuments that they lifted and stretched out, on the surface instead of being sunken in. So, but,
What does the committee do?
huh?
What does the committee do?
We usually start around April, May, early April, we try to get 1 or 2 meetings in, and we make all the calls, arrangements, always got a list.
Arrangements for what? I don't
You have to get all the veterans, Ollie sends out letters to all the veterans in town, letting them know we're having a parade.
I've been
See,
there since 2006, I didn't know we had a parade. I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years.
Oh, well then, see, we don't know that, he doesn't get the list, if your name's not on the list, he doesn't know who to send them to.
I didn't know there was a list.
Well, now you know, there's a list.
But how does
And
everyone else in the town know?
basically the same way, and we do advertise, we put it in the newspaper, the Monadnock Ledger has.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, well, that's another way we do it, and, word of mouth, of course. But our parade is the week before Memorial Day, which confuses a lot of people.
Why
So
is that?
because we have the American Legion Band that shows up from Keene, and that's
Can't do
one
it
of the,
twice, yeah.
yeah, and it's traditional in this town, very traditional. And then, the regular Memorial Day, a lot of the veterans go to other parades in different towns.
Yeah.
And Temple has theirs the week after Memorial Day, which is on the Sunday after Memorial Day. So it's a little confusing for people new to the town or people that aren't there, that's all. But, you're welcome. You can, in fact, you wanna take over?
Well, I don't know what you do besides organize a parade.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. You gotta get the high school band involved. You try to get as many veterans as you can, because recently it's dropped quite a bit. There's a lot of veterans in town, but a lot of them don't participate. And it'd be nice if people show up. Like I said, my legs are getting old and tired, and I can still do it. I'm at my
You're
age.
getting ready for knee surgery.
Well, then,
You're not the only
well,
one.
we do have rides though. We have people that have cars that give you a ride. Sometimes we have a chief that comes here, a military chief. They'll help.
I'm fixing up in 1951 military.
Well, then you can drive your military.
M30,
Oh, that's good to know.
60 M37 pickup truck.
Yes, I know. But we do have.
So you typically wouldn't meet until April, is when you first meet now.
So we have time.
Usually it's before the snow completely goes.
So if somebody were to be interested,
We should
would
put-
you guys hold a special meeting?
Sure.
Like if, that's what my hope was that we'd be able to get together with you guys and then maybe set a date, depending if we could get feedback from,
Mhm.
put the word out, get some feedback, and then have you guys sit down with interested people.
Probably during the winter time when no one's doing very
Yeah.
much, like right now with the nice, well, somewhat nice weather, we don't have, nobody's gonna show up for anything.
Right.
Close to the parade.
I'm
probably
glad you
March-
guys-
March or April,
Yeah, I'm glad you guys took the time to come in today, because it's something that's
Yeah.
been,
It's getting to a point where, the selectmen will probably have to do the whole thing if we can't find anybody, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the three stooges here, we're the old ones left. Every time we have a meeting, it's just us three, or sometimes Ollie and me.
Thanks, Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Cow goes up to him.
And Cal, yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have a lot of people in town that do jump and help
We
out.
got Linda Kibble up.
Linda shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was those lead roles are key, like the organizers. Yeah. Yeah. Peter?
I have a question and a comment.
All right.
How many meetings does it take to organize for the parade?
Ollie usually gets a head start.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is there like two, three,
two or
four
Two or
meetings?
three.
Two or three?
We
Okay.
fine tune it at the very end.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it usually goes very smooth. We're so used to, us three are very used to what goes on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you can get people, I mean, I can do it with my eyes closed now. I know exactly what Ollie's gonna say, I know what he's gonna say when he's there. We kinda like, well, I don't know what you're gonna say now, but, no, this gentleman here has been involved a long time, and of course this guy too,
Yeah.
a long time. I mean, I just 23 years, but they've been way before me even. 32 people.
32 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like I say, a lot of times our meetings are pretty short, and most of the time it's, we're having a piece of pizza or, you know, chatting as, you know, what are the, any issues, and we don't have them. So the place where there's a lot of meetings is anything that we need for the parade, like, you know, music and honor guards and color guards,
You were
things
talking
like
about
that.
tombstones earlier, weren't you?
What's that?
You were talking about tombstones earlier, weren't you?
Cemetery.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's that got to do
Well,
with
that-
the committee? If you just do parade.
I'm sorry.
You said you just do parade, the committee just does the parade. Where does the
No.
cemetery come in?
Well, he's a cemetery
This
trustee.
No,
The parade starts at the cemetery.
I'm retired.
Well, you work.
The parade starts at the cemetery.
This
We have a.
They're all held at the
We
cemetery.
have a morning parade and we have an afternoon parade. In the morning, it's at Smithville Village, they have a cemetery there, we march to and then come back. And then in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, we meet at the Congregational Church, and then we head up from there to one cemetery downtown, and then we're done. And it's a good, what's really nice is that the town people show up in mass. We have so many people that show up in town, it's
Not the
unbelievable.
one on Golden Road.
But the only thing is, you know, trying to get color guards or anything like that, honor guards, we don't have them anymore. I mean, I look around and I find a Boy Scout and I say, hey, you mind carrying the flag for me? Because we don't have the American Legion posts. They all got old, where they don't even participate like they used to. Because they can't even find guys to do the colors or the honor guards anymore. So we're like, whoa, what do we do now? Right?
So I would,
That's been the way it's been lately for the last couple of stories.
Roger, I just wanna make sure, did you have your hand up?
Well, one thing is, the reason they had it a week earlier, the way I understood it, was back many years ago, they used to get the Fort Devens band,
Mhm.
and they couldn't get it on Memorial Day weekend, so they got it a weekend before. And, that's why they had it.
And then the
they
American
kept
Legion band now
kept
does
the
the same.
same
Yeah.
schedule. And I was thinking, if you wanna get people to come, why not, could you get the, Air Force Academy band or something out here? And,
Mhm.
I mean, somebody like that would probably attract some people. I mean, it'd be expensive to get something like that, but I mean, somebody maybe more local, similar to that.
well, I'll say this, the school did a phenomenal.
The school got really,
Yeah.
this year was,
Yeah.
I mean,
It was.
it went downhill a lot, and now they've come right back up, and those kids are really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
earlier
impressive.
in the year, I meet with the music director, and we go through what, you know, we had in the program, and what changes we'd like to see, or add-ons and things like that. And then have usually 2 or 3 follow-up meetings afterwards, just to, you know, see if the music director's got things, you know, everything's okay with them and what have you.
I think that it's basically the core thing kind of stays the same, and each year you revise it a little bit. And one of the main things is to make sure you contact people early enough. If there's any deposits you gotta send out for payments on things like the Keen Band or whatever, you just gotta make sure that those
Yeah.
things get done
They-
early enough and stuff.
Well, the Keen Band has never been told not to come. So when I call up the band, he's already got me on the list.
Within that one year, they had the Shriners coming with their little cars.
Oh, not for Memorial Day.
Oh, that was one, wasn't it?
No, we don't,
Oh.
we don't participate, Memorial Day is Memorial Day, it's all
I
different.
don't know what,
Fourth of
yeah, I
July
just
or
remembered
something.
that, but.
Yeah, there used to be 4th of July parades, I believe.
Yeah, that's changed.
That's a different one.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
I want
like
to say
that.
one other thing too. My dad, he was a veteran, and when he got out of the army, there was my mom or somebody might have said something about marching the parade, and he put on his uniform or tried to put on. I think the only thing that fit was his hat. So he said his uniform didn't fit, so he quit. I mean, he didn't do it. And it was probably about 50, 60 years later, my brother, somebody got him to ride the car when he was about 90. So some people it takes a few years to get them.
And you don't need a uniform. You don't need a uniform if you're a veteran. You can march in civilian clothes. That's
Yeah.
okay.
I remember that one time, Matt Ober, I think he was the organizer, and all the veterans that year, they just said, let's get, you know, tan pants and white shirts.
Well, that's a good thing.
Remember? I don't.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
that was
It
quite a
was
while.
really nice. We had about 16
Oh, yeah.
veterans.
Yeah.
Another question.
So Peter?
Yeah, and then my comment was to see that we could, you know, the precipitate or the ones, you know, seeing the parade is gone. Seems like a lot more down. So if we can get more people to show up to watch the parade as well, you know,
Yeah.
you know, to advertise it maybe a little bit better, too. You know.
I went to one in Smithfield 2 years ago, and there wasn't even a dozen people there,
Mm-hmm.
except for the band, other than.
Yeah, there's some years we're way down on, like, participation with the band. Mercedes band wasn't even, I mean, they had, one year we're going down towards Smith Village and the band was so bad, I mean, they just got going again. The only song they knew was Louie Louie. So we're going, dun, 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 dun. And I'm looking over my shoulder, I go, this isn't right. You know, but that's all they knew, so we
Yeah.
just let them play it.
So it definitely was nice this year to see a little bit more energy, you know, behind it, like
yeah.
from the kids,
It's
and
noticeable too.
hopefully there's like we'll be able to build on
Maybe
this.
we can
And
just put like
Exactly.
posters up at all the local stores and, you know, things like that, and maybe get things in the paper a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And then if Ollie could.
Letters, like Ollie does well, he's been doing the letters, and that's a good thing. And once we find out veterans are missing off there, we'll just get them on there. And another thing, the American Legion Band, I've talked to those guys, and you know what? They're getting old too, and it's hard to find people that want to keep playing in a band, even younger people.
yeah,
So those guys, I mean, they're getting down up in the age where they just can't march anymore.
yeah,
So they're shortchanged on their end.
yeah. So if we can
And
keep
it's
that.
hard to bring younger people up in this generation to say, okay, we'll take over.
And that's why it's almost refreshing to see that gap. Like though there's a gap,
Oh yeah.
at least there's like that hope there that maybe they'll continue on like that strong
We
group.
always, you know,
Yeah.
say, hey, welcome. If there's a young person, we're happy to see him. How you doing?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you buy a donut. You look good in your uniform. You want to be parade marshal next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold this.
Mike, you had your hand up a minute
Oh,
ago.
I was just curious if it was public information for the veterans in town that received the property tax credit, that might be an option of reviewing that list to
That's
send
good.
letters to those veterans for asking for participation. And like him, he didn't know there was a parade. That they would, I don't know if you
Didn't know
take,
there's a committee.
I don't know if you take the tax
I
credit
know.
or not, but I just thought that list might be beneficial
Mhm.
if public. I don't know if it is or not.
Does anybody in town,
Tammy?
Does anybody have access to Facebook like the No Push? You could advertise on there
I've done that.
to look
yeah.
for veterans, or if anybody's knows of veterans that don't know about the
Yeah, we
parade.
have a whole, you know, we get almost a year to do it.
Yeah.
9 months anyways. We have to come up with some kind of a plan.
and does everybody get the town report?
Yeah, that's another.
And do they, is there opportunity to read how all the departments and committees, because the Memorial Day committee is
That's in there too.
in the book.
Yeah.
It's in the book, your book should stay.
Yeah.
You go, by the time you get to the third page, you're asleep.
You know.
Yeah. And Steve, it's something that we struggle with at all the different boards and committees of getting information out, and there's always somebody that says that they don't get. We could send a letter directly to your house, and then put it all around. I'm not saying you, but just people in general, and it just doesn't seep in. Even if there's signage in town, like I always hear that. I didn't know about that, and I'm thinking to myself, I've never seen something so publicized, but still, like it just. There's so much information out there, and people are inundated with things that we
Yeah,
started to like block things.
I
and
don't
we
know,
yeah.
the only person I only know 2 people in this town, Ron Stanley and Peter Aho. Other than that, I don't know anyone.
You don't know me?
I know you from the meetings, yes, but as far as getting information from or talking to, and I've been here since 2006, so that's why I don't get word of mouth.
And that's what I was wondering, because I know that you stayed with Ron, like to watch some of the meetings, help run the equipment, and then even participated with us. I'm surprised that over at least the last few years that you haven't heard of this, because it's something that we start talking about in April, and at least for the month leading up to it. But that be what it is.
Well,
And,
the last one I suggested that they put flags on all the telephone poles or something along those lines. And that's, I think, how the discussion came up last year.
Yeah. And speaking of them, we need new ones. But so I'm wondering if there's any month during the winter where any of you three are gone, or 2 months, or do you guys winter over somewhere?
Probably around March, I'd say, huh?
Yeah, what's that?
To have a meeting in March
Yeah,
and see what we can get people to come in from other areas, so we don't have to do this eventually. We're not going to do it.
yeah.
I don't want to never to not do it, and I know you never wanted to never not do it.
Mm. But
Would
it just happens.
you want something earlier, or like in
I don't know. I don't
November,
see why
December?
we would need that. It's if you go too early, people are gonna just forget. It comes March or April, they're just not gonna want to be interested. Or
Yeah, well, my thought is, and there may not be any,
yeah,
but my thought is to put the word out, and if people are interested,
sure.
I think they wouldn't forget,
Okay.
and then they would at least have a preliminary meeting before
Oh,
everything hits the fan at the end of the.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, and maybe like as a part of budget and, you know, during the public hearing and the deliberative session, maybe good timeframes to take some time to speak on this, you know, like in the need for new people to come in, cause we actually have, you know, all those people that come into the auditorium, you know, to, you know, see that presentation.
Well, that's right. When's that one in March?
February.
February.
Yeah.
do it then.
And then the,
Yeah.
yeah, at the polls in March, you know, would be
Yeah,
the
and
same.
polls also.
Yeah, yeah, so we actually do have 3, you know, major dates, select board wise, yeah, yeah. So that might be something, you know, to keep on our radar to, you know, come up with some type of flyer or like get that, like at each of those meetings speak on, like have, you know, some dialogue behind it.
No, it'd be good.
And then to generate that interest, and then that'd be good timing for you all.
I can talk to my daughter who teaches at Boynton and other, I know a lot of the teachers in the art department. Get that as a project for the kids to do, put up posters,
Yeah,
you know, veteran posters, get them involved in
Mhm.
knowing about veterans.
that'd be
Same
excellent.
time, Get the kids involved.
Yep. Peter?
So would there be a, like, would it be a good idea to make a meeting to, like, formally create a committee? Is that where we're gonna try and go with this?
Wasn't
or-
at that right now, that's for sure. And maybe down the line, yeah.
Yeah.
There has to be someone that has to be involved. You know.
Yeah,
It'd be
we're
good to see what
involved.
comes of this,
Mhm.
like leading up to this March, probably.
Yeah.
And then, here's we definitely, there's value to having these guys, like that's their available time frame and where they'd like to kind of start handing stuff off and,
Because basically why I came here was to find out what does the committee do? You know, and how
that's my
often do they
question.
meet, you know, all that kind of stuff.
And is there an SOP, something written down somewhere, what the responsibilities are, the rules, requirements, desires, anything?
No.
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 There
Okay.
is
Not
a-
that formal.
That's why I was hoping that it could maybe have at least one preliminary meeting, if there's interest. If there's, you know, like Debbie and Susan could put out the word on our website and the whatever medias they use. And if there's a response, that we set up a date. Whether it's, I mean, if we put that word out, and it's going out now as well, and in 2 weeks we had 5 people say, hey, I'm really interested.
Good to know.
Let's set up a meeting then in September.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Not
saying?
September, I can't do September.
I'm not saying,
That's the thing, there's all these holidays coming.
No, it's true. and I'm not trying to say, I'm just saying it seems like it would make sense to me to just have like a preliminary meeting if you have a core group of people who are interested.
Let's get
If
that
you guys are
interest-
open to it, you know?
So let's get the interest level in, right?
Yeah.
And get some feedback, get some names down on paper and see what we can't work out.
That's an idea, yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
And go from there.
and I think the other side of the coin is the patriotic committee. Isn't there a patriotic committee?
There is.
Or is there not?
Patriotic committee is us.
Well, I know we have a budget item that is
That,
specifically,
flags at the cemeteries for the
Oh,
veterans?
that might be what it is.
specifically for patriotic purposes.
Yeah.
Is what it is. There's no committee overseeing that then. Because I know when I first came on,
I thought it was patriotic purposes.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And I believe,
for,
like all you would order flags like out of that, right? Like
Right.
that budget line. Yeah.
Yeah, and whether the flagpoles and what have you.
so that was handled by the Memorial Day committee.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know the DPW was
All the,
involved in it as well,
Hot
getting
dogs too.
the Boy Scouts get the hot
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hot dogs.
Yeah. At the end of the,
So that's
parade,
part of it too.
we have to-
They get money for hot dogs and refreshments too.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's part of that
So-
patriotic.
right.
Alright, and I'm not sure if you guys have an email address online or not, but do you mind if we kind of wrap this segment up?
Oh,
But
yeah,
just,
I think
you know, putting
that's
out that-
productive.
Yeah, putting out that call like that, where any interested people like in the like being on the Memorial Day committee or a part of the parade, please reach out to our town administrator or any of your select board members to get
Unless
put down
you
on
do
the
a
list.
basic description of what you're looking for, I don't think you're gonna get much response. It's very vague, Memorial Day
Well,
committee.
and right now it's
And we could get into description.
I'm
Yeah.
not talking a textbook.
well, Steve. This is for the purpose of the meeting right now. Like just kind of putting that call out to the TV.
I'll drop it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work all
Oh.
these years, and my suggestion would be if you could come up with a little bit of a list. I don't mind helping. I don't
Oh,
want
that'd
to
be
take
good.
over.
Yeah, you don't have to be a
Mind
veteran.
helping.
You don't have to be a veteran.
My dad is a veteran.
There
He
you go.
marches.
Oh, he does? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Albert.
Oh,
Yeah. And
oh, good.
and it doesn't take much to, I have a lot of friends. I mean, we have a homeschool group. We may, with our homeschool group, may be able to help out with
Right.
whatever you need. I don't know. I'm just giving options.
Oh, that's good.
I think we need
I've
to
lived
get
here all my
one
life.
name.
So I don't mind,
Oh.
pitching a little bit. And I don't think you really need that big of a committee.
No, it's not that big.
I mean, if you've done it with 3 guys, and then you just reach out to the people you need just for the thing, you probably could get by with 5, 7 people, and then
Oh,
just,
easily.
yeah.
Yeah, and Tammy brings a good point. You guys, I don't know how you can't adequately thank someone for 32 years
Yeah.
of.
We're patriotic and that's
Of
it.
helping
You
it
know,
out.
we wore the uniform, we're proud, and we still wear them as much best as we can. I can't believe I still fit in mine, but I do.
Well, that's another thing. My dad actually ordered a new one. He couldn't fit in his either, and he ordered a new one, so he can still
Yeah,
march
like
like
I say,
this.
you don't need a uniform, you can wear a military hat or just, polo shirt with a military thing on it. You don't need any military stuff, actually. If you're a veteran, come on,
That's
march
right.
with us.
Yeah.
Let's see if my beret fits.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in tonight.
All right,
Thank
yeah,
you for all your
In
service,
the
and
road, I got another
hopefully this
kilo.
will be a loud sounding off that a call for help.
You got all those coins I gave you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Good seeing you, Tom.
Well, thank you. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
I'll see you around, Nancy. Yep. Yeah, thank you.
You're looking good, guy.
You should have seen the parades when my grandma was commander of the leader.
Yeah. See you
God,
later.
boy, it's been a while.
All right, have a good night.
You have still one copy.
Yeah. Documents that we
We
use.
used to have some big parades.
Get the thing started.
Oh, you do?
All right.
So there
The
is,
50s, the 60s.
there is an SOP.
That's,
We used to have
Yeah.
the Fort Devens
Good.
No, this
guys
is-
jumping
this
out
is
of
a photo
parachutes and everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, I tried to set up a.
These are examples of, we send it out to the clergy and then all the departments.
yeah, well, I went, spent 32 years in the Army. I went
This is the
everywhere.
morning parade, it's the afternoon parade.
Is this a handing off? Right now? That's what it looks like.
Well, we have the stuff in file.
There was that brought up that it's going to turn into the select board. So is that what's happening right now, Ollie?
We just heard at least
But-
one
yeah.
person who's willing to
Yeah,
help
yeah.
us.
So now, we'll call that meeting and hand it off. Yeah.
Expecting that we have a couple of new members.
Well, you heard a few people express an interest.
Yeah.
Been a while.
So hopefully it'll, but the whole thing with it was we don't want to step on any toes, and I wanted you guys to be able to say exactly what's what, because I don't want to start saying,
Right.
hey, he's out.
Like, we used to,
And I don't think anyone really wants to be out necessarily as much as step back. It sounded to me.
we used to get for quite a few years, Stern, and Burton funded.
Oh, yeah.
But then they looked at the definition of what they money's supposed to be going to, and the funding was removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so this is helpful. We'll give this to Debbie. Because she doesn't need it more. I mean, she needs more paper.
Yeah. I mean,
It is very helpful.
the one thing, you know, you have to build your own folders, and somebody's got to be good at typing. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is good.
well,
It gives a lot to go off.
Could I get a copy?
About 3 months ago, and that was,
Well,
yeah, there's 10 of these.
There's 10 of each.
Somebody would like a coffee in there.
is there any younger?
Look at this.
And this here is only 2.
It's a form letter for the
So-
test.
Right, because
So
all
if I
you do
could
is
just
change
call
the
this
name.
back into order, like the meeting, so we can kind of
All right.
keep moving along. But I do
Yeah, after
appreciate
the
the
meeting,
handoff. Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Sorry about that, Ollie. Please accept my apology. I didn't mean to shut you off. Yeah.
That's all right.
We actually have a
Take
full
care.
house tonight. Yeah, have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you. All right. So Gary had emailed me earlier asking if he could speak to a couple of other items since he was coming in this evening. I said that was fine.
Right. Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of put the ZBA appointments on the backside of this, just to
Okay.
let you get into that.
Yeah, so basically what it was, Village Mobile, as you may have seen, they applied to do some changes to their signs, some changeable letters and things. It did go to the ZBA, it falls within their purview, it looks like it's okay. But we do not have a fee for sign permits. You look in the permit and the fee schedule, there are no fees for it.
Yeah.
So you need to establish a fee for signs.
Do you think that's necessary or?
Well, I mean, this is the first one we've seen, and I know, and that's why this one I was particularly careful with Village Mobile, knowing the sensitivity of the area with illuminated signs. You know, what they're looking at is on their pumps. You know, they have the flip price. They want to put electronic
Yeah.
numbers on there so they can do their changes, and same on their Village Mobile sign. And yeah, I just wanted to see if you wanted to charge a permit fee for that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you have any comparable rates from surrounding towns, or because that's kind of how?
On our building schedule, the minimum permit is $50. You know, no matter what it is, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you stick with that and say, okay, a sign permit is $50. You know.
Yeah.
How
Because I
big are
know.
those signs? I'm sorry. How big are is it just a group of numbers on top of it?
It's a group of numbers and then some changes. This did go to the ZBA.
Okay.
Just because I wasn't sure, and given the sensitivity of the area,
Mhm.
I didn't want to go ahead and say, go ahead, change your sign unless it went through some regs, and so I just got, there's a lot of notes here from the, may not exceed 32 square feet. And I got the ZBA rules on it here, which I'll forward on to the sign company anyways, to make sure it falls within that ZBA purview of the 32 square feet, and so on and so forth.
So when we reviewed things like permits, fees, and we have gotten the recommendation from the building inspector, and those fee recommendations were based off of what other towns around us are charging, because we typically try not, like, we charge less than what the other towns do, which isn't always the best case, because behind like a permit for the signs, it's supposed to be covering the building department cost to some degree, and alleviating that burden from the taxpayers.
Right.
So I do understand like that fee schedule and what that goes
The way
to.
it's established, no, it's right,
Yeah. So if you wanted to update the fee schedule, that's it's up to you, but that would definitely need a full recommendation and not just, hey, what do you guys want like to throw on this for a fee, because there should be some type of thought behind it and
Right, yeah.
reasoning.
The signs is the only thing that does not have a fee assigned to
Okay.
it. Everything else has a fee assigned to it. whether it's, minor plumbing, everything else has a fee schedule.
Yeah.
Signs do not have a fee schedule assigned to it.
Okay.
Not that it's a big issue, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of requests for signs.
Yeah. 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 Because I know. Yeah. Like it's kind of tight around like with signage. We try to like
Right.
not
Oh,
have
yeah.
too much signage. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So are you gentlemen opposed to Gary looking into and adding a fee to the sign permit?
I have no problem with it.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I-
we'll look to your recommendation on that.
Okay, yeah, I just don't wanna hold these, these guys have been waiting quite some time because I wanted the ZBA to look at it.
Well, I wouldn't throw it on this necessarily. Like
Just
the,
kind of, okay.
no,
in
but
the
going
future,
forward,
going
yeah.
forward in the
If
future.
we could get something in our packet at one meeting with your recommendation showing the change, and we'll vote on it.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Right.
Isn't that something that has to be voted on the town level?
The permits,
Again,
the permit fees.
Doing a fee for a permit that doesn't currently have a fee?
I don't believe so.
Why is that?
I'm not sure. I can't answer that offhand right now. Like, I don't think that that's the case. This is a first, like someone looking to add a fee, so that very may well be. And a great
I'm just
and a great
curious.
question. I'm glad that you came in, like to ask that question. And we'll have to look into that.
Not that I'm opposed to the fee.
Yeah,
I just do it legally, that's all.
Yeah. No,
Good
like,
advice.
Yeah.
yeah.
We've
We like to try to do
signed
that.
in court.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. All right.
Okay, then the other item is getting money from the expendable trust for gear. We have 2 new Fire One certified firefighters and we need to outfit them with gear. And we've had some gear that has been damaged, cannot be repaired, so that cost was $12,826.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how if you vote to take it out of the expendable trust.
So again, that would come off of your recommendation and your request,
Yeah.
and what we're looking to do is to put that in front of the trustees
Okay,
ahead of time, like
Yeah.
before any approval comes, like from this board, to make
Mhm.
sure that it follows the guidelines of that trust.
okay, all right.
So that would be something that you'd work with Debbie on,
Okay,
like to
all
come
right,
up
yeah,
with,
this is,
and then
no, I just got this, so I was just trying to,
and then put that before the trustees to see if they would approve it.
okay,
And then that can come back to us, and we'd sign off on it, because it would have your request, why you need it, like for
Right.
your department,
mm,
and that it is permitted to be taken out of that trust,
gotcha, okay,
and then there's your money.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, alrighty.
Yeah.
So, good. That should do it.
All right.
Yeah, I'll set up an agenda, another meeting there's some other items that probably long-term discussion items, but I
Okay.
won't hold everything up, there'll be some discussion at that.
All right. Yeah. Whenever you want to get onto a meeting.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
it would be quite lengthy actually to discuss the positions and the long-term goal, the long-term future of the building inspector, fire chief, however that's gonna be handled, but
Oh,
that
excellent.
time is waning, I mean,
Yeah, and it's even like as we come into budget season, like some of like our meetings get a little bit
Absolutely,
busier
right, yeah.
too.
yeah,
So most definitely,
Right.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Like
we
give us
need to-
like a few Tuesdays that
Right.
are good for you.
right, yeah, we need to dedicate a block of time for that because that could be a lengthy discussion.
Yep. And then how much
We'll go
time you
for it.
want? Hour,
Yeah.
2 hours, 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3, you're being generous here.
It's budget season.
Right.
We could be
Yeah.
here for 7. Yeah.
Right, yeah, so,
So before Gary leaves, I'd just like to ask if we could have Dave Carolyn and saw me the other day and had some questions about the antique fire brigade, and so before we hop on to the next subject. if we
Okay.
could-
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask.
That's not, so you're all set, Gary?
yeah, I'm
For
all
this
set,
evening?
yeah,
All right. Yeah. So I'll look
bring
forward to seeing
forth some
those dates.
stuff, right,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Excellent. Thank you for coming in.
Okay.
But
Yes,
if he-
sir.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
Antique Fire Brigade?
Yep.
I never got a notice that said it was disbanded. And I was one of the guys that helped found it.
Okay.
I got $1,000 of my own money into that fire truck. My son has $750 into it.
Okay.
And the place needs to be, I don't know what you're gonna do, but if you sell the building, you should take the money and fix the fire truck.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the talk, that any proceeds from that would be the first allotment. Now, we have to find out if that's legal, because a lot of
Yeah.
times when you sell a property, it just goes into the general fund and poof,
But
whether
the
we can
building's
earmark
gonna
it
be
or not.
fixed. It needs to get watertight, cause there's leaking water in there and eventually it'll collapse.
Yeah, and that's why we're looking at this point, is the community have any interest in restoring the building? So we had those public hearings it lasted over a month, really like a span of time, so 2 different public hearings in order to hear it, and we didn't get any calls from the community. No one reached out individually to say, hey, we need to save that building and retain it as a piece of the town structure. And that's why we're looking at that aspect of selling it, and yeah, absolutely, fixing up the truck or the pumper, and
That equipment should be in a dry place.
Yeah, is it a safe
Yeah.
place to put the equipment?
The hand pumper works.
okay,
My father-in-law restored that, so
Yeah.
it works.
alright,
And the fire truck, I couldn't finish it because my injury in my neck prevented me from doing it. It took me over a year just to get somewhat recovered so I can do something.
yeah.
Well, that- Oh, I'm sorry, Steve, what was that?
I was asking what year the truck was. It wasn't important.
It's a 27, I
It's
believe.
gotta be safe.
Yeah, it's a
The
27
Heritage
Lexus.
Commission walked through before the
It's gotta be
selectmen
safe.
met,
You can't sit it.
and we saw that equipment, and it's pretty impressive. And it is still in good shape.
When we got that, they had a thing over at the Barrett Mansion,
Mm-hmm.
and we had that hand pumper there. And the previous one that was sold at an auction and it was in a fire and the guy restored it, he sold that one hand pumper for $90,000. It used to belong to the town.
Wow.
Alright, okay. Roger?
Is that something you could have in the parade, or is it something you gotta pull with horses, or what?
I'm not sure, I'm not
Fire
familiar.
truck would be in the parade.
I mean, some people maybe have never seen it, and if they hadn't prayed, maybe they.
It was in a parade last time it was used, because it's got flags all down the side of it still.
But maybe it wasn't the Memorial Day.
I don't know.
That might be, it's an interesting point though, to get it out there, like that we have this.
That we
and-
have it.
Yeah,
There's a
And that-
possibility if you put it out there, maybe you could say, if people are interested in donating money to fix it or something.
Well,
mhm.
it sounds
But
like
they'd have to
that's
probably
what
see it.
Mr. Caroline in here has done. Although I don't know if you knew you were donating the money.
My hearing is so short that
Roger said people have donated money, and I said it sounds like that's what you have done. Although I don't know if you knew you were donating or
it
what.
took $3,000 to get the motor up and running.
Oh yeah.
That was the first thing we did to it.
Yeah.
But we had donations from various people in town.
Oh yeah. So currently, I did put a bug in the fire department's ear that nobody's taking care of this thing. Somebody needs to, and they said, "Oh, we would love to take care of it." And how that comes about, I don't know. But,
The biggest thing is where you're gonna put it.
Yeah.
There's no place to put it, that's suitable storage. It needs to be dry storage, it can't be in a wet spot.
There's a lot of wood in
Yeah.
the Wachusett, and that's gonna start rotting if you don't take care of it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna require a lot of money
to
to restore it, if you wanna restore it, fix it up, get it running, it's just,
possibly, I think they got it running.
Yeah, it ran good until the water pump leaked so bad that you couldn't go anywhere with it. Plus it needs 4 new tires.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
obviously,
like
when
a
you're
couple $1,000 in tires.
when you have something like
When's the last time it was on the road?
it's registered for 2020. That wasn't that long ago. I don't know
I
who
haven't
registered.
started it since 2018.
I'll say probably that was the last time, right?
Huh?
That was the last time, 18,
Yeah.
maybe since it's run, so.
So them are things that we can work out, but so your whole thing coming here, you were not aware that the brigade was disbanded.
Nobody said anything, but then again, I was busy trying to keep my head on my shoulders.
So would you like to be kept abreast of anything that
Yeah,
might happen?
once,
All
I
right.
like working on the stuff,
Okay.
but can't do it by myself anymore. All the ones that were before, they all died off.
Yeah.
And I'm probably next, you never know.
You know, if you find a dry place to store it, I'd be willing to work on it. I'd enjoy it.
Well, I have a
like
few
working on
ideas,
vehicles.
but I'd have to run them through
What's that?
several. I have a few ideas, but I'd have to run them through some people.
I have a car
I could
that's
take
mine.
that hand pumper to Mustard's. We won money with that hand pumper. First time out.
All right. Yeah. So thank you for coming in and expressing
just keep
interest
me
in it.
informed,
And,
see what-
yeah.
Somebody beside my crummy hearing, yeah, I like to get a little excited about getting it running again. I was
Okay.
thinking of the parade in Jaffrey, and I go, I
know,
was
and
gonna
we-
take it to the Ringe party, and I started it up and thinking, bleh, it died on me, but that was, the water pump packing was so tight that it stopped the engine.
Yeah.
So I gotta back off on that and try to get it so it will start on its own.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So now we know, and we'll keep you in the loop.
Okay.
Thank you for stepping up again after all these
Yeah,
years.
all that work we did, and they're gonna throw it outside.
Oh no, we're not
Oh,
throwing it
no.
outside.
It was thrown outside before.
I don't doubt that, but
So,
Yeah, that wasn't the conversation.
Right.
see you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, you just
Have a good night.
you gotta find a suitable home to put it. That's-
yeah.
Before you do anything more with it, so.
Yep.
Yeah, and,
You don't
and
have
the
a
first
suitable
thing
house.
that comes to my mind, I don't have to be mysterious about it,
Right.
is building number 2 and building number 3.
Yep.
Right.
There's bays in there that it could fit in.
Yeah. Well, your garage, right? Build a little garage at
My
home.
garage?
It'd be a nice heated
Boy,
garage.
I'll tell you, you're gonna have a war with my boys because it's actually a shop.
Right, yeah. There you go. So, alrighty.
They're gonna carry.
All
Thank
right,
Thank you,
good night.
Gary.
Yeah.
So, how's it going, folks?
Good.
Now back. Bob, Ray, Jane. Were you in for the ZBA appointment discussion?
Yeah,
Okay.
just wanted to
Hear what you have
hear
to
what
say.
you had to say. That's
Yeah. All right. So move on to that. Roger, did you have anything that you wanted to discuss before we got into something else, or? Okay. So yeah, next up we had the ZBA chair, Walker Ferry, made a request to appoint 3 possibly temporary members, seeing how it goes forward. Like, they don't know what their time constraints are going to be over the next couple few months, but the ZBA definitely needs some help and some members. So we have 3 names before us: Dwayne White, Brett Kivela, and Jay Hopkins. So Jay was in earlier and he probably had to go. So it would have been great to hear from Jay directly, but we know that he expressed interest to Walker in order, seeking appointment to the ZBA. Do either of you care to have any type of discussion like on this request, or any concerns with Walker's request of appointment?
No.
I have none.
Okay. No, I'll listen.
We
No.
can't say anything.
All right. Oh, actually, that's true. Yeah. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dwayne White, Brett Kivela, and Jay Hopkins to the ZBA in alternate positions. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And actually, yeah. All in favor?
I was gonna ask, all 3 of them specifically wanted alternate positions.
Well, yeah, well, they have like the full-time positions already, and they have
Okay.
the slots for the alternates, but,
Okay.
with some matters that are coming before them, there's a number of people that have to recuse themselves, from the discussions, like in those full-time
Okay,
positions. So it would be for alternate positions. Alright, all in favor of those appointments?
I
Aye.
What's the ZBA?
Zoning Board of Adjustment.
So when would those appointments become effective? Is it as of tonight, or is it at the next ZBA?
Well, it's as of tonight, and they'd have to come in and get sworn in at the clerk's office. So this is the first step, and then they would be
so they'll be
alternates at
notified.
at the next ZBA meeting.
Okay.
They'll be notified probably
Yeah, tomorrow.
this week,
Yeah.
and then they can come in at their leisure and get sworn in by the town clerk. So
Okay.
whenever the ZBA holds a meeting.
Thanks for that clarification.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
Alright. So the other thing that we had to discuss during our regular meeting was the law change regarding non-public minutes. And from what I understand, as of October 13th, we'll be required to unseal any minutes that are 10 years or older on that date,
Or review
or review, but we need a policy in place for review
them. Yeah.
in order to do that. So that's kind of where this is coming from, because it was suggested that we take a proactive, step in this.
I think you'd have to review them first, as I'm sure there's some stuff that you can't release to the public even after 10 years.
What's that?
I'm sure there's some stuff that you cannot release even after 10 years. It would have to be reviewed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some restrictions.
Yeah, but that would force us, because we've been talking about going through and unsealing things that don't need to be sealed anymore, and sounds like the state's pushing that dialogue.
I think that conversation, we were warned of this
Yeah.
Yeah.
a while ago that
Yeah.
this was coming our way. It looks like them minutes would only have to go back to 2013, as far as I read on this interpretation of the law.
Yep.
So
Yeah, so
we're
it
not
wouldn't have
having
to go
dig.
back to
Yeah, we
all
don't-
time, but 10 years is still
That's a law.
that's a mound. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want,
So
I want this from 1942. You had
Yeah.
And I want to know what you say.
Well, I know
Yeah.
when I first was talking with Debbie, she was, I didn't even know where some of them old minutes are, but they took that into account.
yeah.
2013 should be. Oh wait,
That's true.
did we have a minute taker?
Who
There's
knows?
a few
Yeah.
years where it seems like minutes were not
Yeah.
recorded, but whatever. That's. So is this an unfunded mandate?
Sounds like an unfunded. Well, they don't need to fund it because it would be us that would have to review them.
Right.
Yeah, so it wouldn't cost the taxpayers any more money, just a little bit more of our time.
And then the clerical work, 'cause
Yeah.
somebody will have to dig that out.
Yeah. So I believe this is good and in good intent from the state, and it's
Mhm.
refreshing to see that they're looking to get towns to do this, even though the burden kind of falls on volunteers more or less.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and that's the roles that we stepped up to fill. So we'll have to look forward to taking a look at this and coming up with that review policy or procedure, and start making some time to go through all of those minutes and unseal what we can unseal. So it's a good kind of kick in the butt, and just a good reminder, like, to get back to something that I believe all three of us wanted to do.
It's going to be less than 52 a year because you don't always have closed minutes.
something, you know, we love the non-public, Steve, love them. Yeah, when I first came onto the board, it was the full intent to not have any non-publics, and then you'd find out all the reasons or why,
There's
and
some real good reason why you should have
yeah, yeah,
something that shouldn't be known until a decision's made.
yeah. So it's definitely a needed thing, but then you know probably abused to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2
And
years
there's-
seems like a reasonable amount.
There's
of time.
some,
I'm sure
there's some pretty strict wording in here.
Yeah,
If we don't review them, then by default, all minutes are unsealed. Is that what you read?
Yeah, no, that's what, yeah. So we need to have that process in place, and then actually
It has to be,
doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Or we just unseal them, or they get unsealed. Yeah.
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 I mean, I would tend to think the vast majority would get unsealed.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority are things legal
mhm.
battles at the time.
Yep.
And it just made, yeah. Like everything in this, behind this table is a lot of judgment calls.
Yeah.
Although with something like this, I think we would have to have a very good reason for not unsealing. You know,
Correct. Yeah.
I wonder
Well, and
if,
even
if some
most-
of these.
I'd probably say 75% of the non-publics that we've gone into just in the 3 years that I've been on the board could probably be unsealed.
Yeah,
Like,
they've
at
had to
this
deal
point.
with hiring people or.
Yeah, we just hadn't ever gone back to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And review them again. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
So when are we gonna start it? When does this law take effect?
When was it? October? Oh,
No,
wait. I don't know. Why was I thinking October?
September 1st.
Ah, September 1st.
Next week.
I read somewhere about October as well. I don't know where it would have been.
So you did, yeah, so I'm not going completely crazy,
No, you're
right?
not.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
And then, because this piece of paper that I have in front of me
It's
doesn't
just-
look familiar, but then
This is
something
just an
else,
attorney's interpretation.
what we had been given ahead of the meeting
Yeah.
was, did to say October, so.
Let's see if I can hold that thing.
Well, it's
Yeah.
in there for,
What does it say?
Lou, do you have that, like that full correspondence folder, the purple folder?
yes.
Because there's supposed to be a packet in there about this. We got it.
I guess the one here that says September 1st says, for example. So,
Right here. It's an email.
what they're saying here is that, they suggest that the 10-year default provision under B be followed.
So in the email that Debbie sent us, she forwarded the Andover town administrator saying it goes into effect October 3rd. That's where you came up with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see if that's the wording of it. What is this? RSA. Was there? HB 321.
Oh, so in this, like, they're just using September as an example.
An example.
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to pull up the bill.
The other interesting thing says that and you've got the listing of what it is under, 4A. If you read that first line, a public body or agency may adopt procedures to review minutes of meetings held in non-public session and to determine by majority vote whether the circumstances that justified keeping meeting minutes from the public under RSA 91A3 no longer apply. And then the one that they're recommending is B.
What are you speaking to right now, Lou?
Hmm?
What's that? I don't. What are you reading off of?
The sheet here.
Yeah.
If you look under on the bottom half,
Yeah.
IVA. And that is the as adopted statutory language.
Yeah.
And then up on the top, it says, rather than establish a procedure under paragraph A, which provides no guidance on what the procedure should contain, I suggest using the 10-year default provision under B.
Mm-hmm. Well, which makes complete sense when it's all written out. So essentially, I just don't know how we'd have to track it somehow,
Right.
like in a computer
Almost on
database
a
instead of
weekly basis or something,
yeah,
or
because
a monthly basis.
each week we could potentially be reviewing minutes from 9 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and even some of the paper copies of those minutes are kept in various different spots.
Boxes and boxes down in the basement.
Yeah. So that all that work's gonna have to start pulling all of that out, and
And it could easily tack on an extra hour per meeting.
so it sounds like you guys are willing to create a procedure and start reviewing versus just let by default happen and everything becomes public.
I think we owe it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, to the previous boards and
Yeah.
those discussions.
we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we'll look to when Debbie comes back,
Set up a
get that procedure
workshop,
going. Yeah.
Saturday morning workshop.
All right.
It's coming our way. The thing I don't see is, I wonder how I guess if somebody came in on October 4th, there wouldn't be enough time to review the last 10 years of meetings between now and October 4th.
Anything before
So I'm
10 years, anything before 10 years before October
Right.
4th.
Yeah. So that's what it is. So it's literally like October 4th meetings 10 years ago is what's up for. So each month that goes by.
So I have a
Okay.
feeling any interested parties may submit their right to knows, and that we would just have to make it a priority to review that particular sealed minute.
Well, October 1st, the files that are 10 years old would be September, the month of September, 10 years ago. 2013 September would be now available. October, at the end of October, beginning of November, then October's become available.
That's in theory, but we don't have the time
But I'm saying you
to
don't
review 10 years over the, maybe we do.
Well, you only have
10
to do a
years
month
worth
at a
of
time.
Octobers every month.
Well,
I mean, that's
Everything
a lot.
that's, say, October 3rd like Steve said, everything that was done in September of 2013 and before that.
I thought it only goes back 10 years though.
No, I know, and so I don't, from what I'm reading here, and we'll have to get more clarification and look at it a little bit closer, in pretty short order, is that they're not looking to, like as of October 4th, 2023, make everything from 10 years, like we don't have that rush to
I see.
review that, but it's, we have to start with those oldest documents first, like as they're coming like to that end of life, but we need to have that policy and procedure in place. Because if we don't have that policy and procedure adopted and in place, then that would be like that type of scenario that it just pops. Like that
Everything's open.
yeah, so we need a review policy, and we can say, we're gonna review, like, so in September, we should start reviewing October's, 2013 to,
Because 2012 does, you don't have to worry about 2012.
not 2012, but 2014,
But-
yeah,
But 2012, you don't have to worry about it. Anything older than 2013, you don't have to worry about it,
Yeah.
Have to.
right?
Yep. Yeah,
So
so we
you
just
gotta
start
do-
with those oldest ones, and then if we
Start.
feel like we're on a good track, or Debbie says, hey, we only have this many, like through the end of the year, do you guys wanna hit it all tonight, then we could do that.
But does it automatically open up everything prior to that September,
It doesn't look like it. It says it would begin,
it would begin?
from 10 years ago. So minutes created after 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, then would have to be reviewed as that 10-year mark hits.
Yeah,
So every month you'd have to review 4 sets of closed meetings.
However you wanted to do it, however the board
Right.
wanted to do
That way
it.
it makes it easiest on you.
Yeah.
You release it 1 month at a time. So
could,
September,
yeah.
you release the month before. Then October, you release September's.
yeah,
That way,
Okay.
you only got to review 1 a week basically, because you got
and then once we make that review and either recodify or open, like that 10-year clock starts again for those sets of minutes, like, so then we'd have to review it again in 2032 or whatever, or like whoever's in place at that time.
My suspicion is we'll get in a groove and be able to do like a quarter, and we don't have to release them until that month is up or whatever. I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah,
None of us have ever done it.
no,
the hardest part is going to be finding them all and organizing them so that you can
I
get
know, that's where I said, is this an unfunded mandate?
yeah,
All of a sudden, but it is what it is.
I think that's a needed mandate,
I think
Yeah.
it's a good idea.
yeah,
Because we've expressed that before, like this is, so many of them don't need to be sealed.
yeah.
And
Yeah. Look at that, a law change is like helping us to do something that we all intended to do initially and just never found the time or wherewithal to attack it, but now we
I
have
know,
to.
and I gave an opportunity to do that earlier this meeting, but we'll let
Oh.
freedom ding instead of ring. We'll let
Yeah,
keep the squelch on as much as we can.
not looking at
Well, you really gotta
I love all the
twist-
extreme
twist
examples.
that-
Oh, yeah.
Most of
We
my
got it.
most
We
of my
got it.
days like contain extreme examples, like one way or another. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got a lot to answer to. Constituents for your votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's politics. Politics is always in one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, so we'll look to create that policy then.
Do we need to create a policy or?
A procedure, yeah, we should have, like, we need to have that procedure in
Otherwise-
place, I believe, yeah.
But if we fail to follow our own rules, which we'd never do, right?
Yeah.
Then I think section B will kick in, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's it, yeah, if we don't make that review, then they just become public.
Right, so November, if you don't review September of 2013 come
October, yeah,
So the month before it becomes all of it's available because you didn't have a chance to review it.
correct. Yep.
So then,
Wish I could
do
speak.
you do one whole month at a time, or do you do?
We'll have to see what's
One week
there,
at a
Lou.
time.
Yeah, like hopefully, like if we start this at early September, looking at 10 years ago October, like we'll be able to move through it in
Yeah.
a week or maybe two, and we'll just see like how it comes and starts to shape up.
And I'm sure, like I've experienced, it's gonna be the same. There's gonna be some months stacked,
Yeah,
other months, nothing. So it'll just be what it is.
yeah, yep. All right, moving along. Did you have anything for our old new business this evening, Lou?
No, we still have one more thing to go through with Bruce Allen.
That was a
Oh.
non-public, and
Yeah.
that's why I
Sorry.
said it was non-public, so we wouldn't have names.
No, I didn't
Sorry.
hear him anyways, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But in any case,
So again, any old new business stuff?
No.
Okay.
Then I will say goodnight, gentlemen.
well, we're not quite
I
done.
thought you were gonna go close.
Well, in a couple minutes, I guess, but you're not. You can leave. They're not gonna guilt you into staying. We had a lot of
I'm not
visitors
being
tonight.
guilted in this thing, I just
Yeah.
didn't want that.
And before you leave,
Yeah.
while Sean's talking, I'll try and get you a packet of this.
Well, I was coming on to you. Old
Oh.
new business.
I only had one thing, which was a question to you.
Yep.
Did the Brownfield meeting get confirmed? Are we on for next Tuesday, or
Yes.
do you know?
From what I'm reading through the emails and things,
Okay,
and they're on that agenda for next week. So
excellent. Are they coming in person, or is it Zoom, or?
I believe it's in person.
Excellent.
Yeah.
One of the problems I have with that is, from the schedule has the Brownfield thing going for the first hour. And not that I took a look at it, but it seems like there was, and Debbie said there was a whole lot of pictures to it,
Mhm.
but when it opened up an Acrobat Reader, it was like 251 pages.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she
Did you
said
read
that-
it for us, Lou?
I didn't realize. I thought I saw 40, maybe
40
30
pages
something.
of actual documentation,
Yeah.
okay, and then a bunch of pictures afterwards.
Yeah.
So, my question is that, are we really gonna get through that in an hour before we meet with the representatives?
I would hope so, and we're trying to keep it to an hour because really the core, decision that we're gonna have to make of going on to phase 2 or not is the biggest thing that weighs in my mind. And basically getting that information out, like to the community, for us to digest directly from the mouths of, that committee or group, and to gain a better understanding of it firsthand. Though Debbie's done a great job, relaying information back, just to really truly understand, right from their perspective, what's going on, and then what the responsibilities are going forward. So to me, it's more of a presentation and not necessarily something that we need to even discuss afterwards. Naturally we'll have discussion during the presentation, but I wasn't gonna be looking to push any type of vote or anything next week. It's more just, let's just see where we're at.
I just didn't know if we could even go through 40 pages worth of material in an hour.
And I'll leave that to them. They know their time constraint
You
ahead of time.
only
So,
got an hour, make it your best shot.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I believe they're just gonna, from what I understood, they're gonna give us what our options, as far as they know, what
Yeah.
our options are as far as soils testing
And that'd
and
be,
funding.
like, best case scenario would be that the three of us thoroughly review what has been sent in the report, and then come up with questions like ahead of time, instead of taking it as it comes during the meeting, to be more productive during that meeting. So, and I know that for some reason I missed the hundreds of pages aspect.
I
The
could be-
pictures
I
maybe
could be
didn't
wrong.
load.
That was in an email or on a Dropbox?
Well, that's email. Yeah,
Because I don't like Dropbox.
yeah. So please, make that review ahead of next week's meeting.
That was all that I had.
Okay. So, Autumn Fest this year is coming up, and some discussions have started, about Autumn Fest. One of the questions that I wanted to put before you two was regarding the bonfire that we used to have down at the park at the conclusion of Autumn Fest. I don't exactly recall why it was stopped or like what exactly happened, because I don't think there was any type of major incident or anything, because it was just within a short amount of time that there was it was a pallet fire more or less. I know the nails stunk and they're still coming up like from the ground, so that's got to be looked at and done a little bit different. But would you guys be in favor of supporting having bringing back the bonfire to Autumn Fest, warranting that the conditions are right, and naturally the fire department would be a part of that discussion too. So I just wanted to see the tone of the board, because I believe it came from the select board at one point to discourage the fire down there.
Do you remember the reasons why?
No, I don't know, I don't know, I'm not sure why it would be, because other towns have big
I love
bonfires, and they have the fire department right there ready.
They set an atmosphere that nothing else can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're just very
Transfer station has a giant pile of brush they can use instead of pallets.
Okay. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's great.
They burn it when it gets too big, they burn it anyways.
Yeah. So it would be fair for me to let them know that this board isn't would support the bonfire then?
I would support it.
Okay, Lou. Yeah. And then I'll make mention of using brush instead of pallets.
Talk to Pete and tell him not to burn it before the Autumn Fest. Make sure you have a big pile.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
What's Autumn Fest?
So it's a meeting, how other towns have different, I think Milford does Pumpkin Fest. They have some type of festival, so it's kind of our version of like a fall festival, and it's really fall themed, not necessarily Halloween.
Right.
It's more.
Are there vendors and stuff like hot dogs?
Yeah, there's vendors.
Whoever's running, could I get the name of the person? I have a commercial popcorn machine at the theaters.
Yep.
And if they want to use that, they're free to
Excellent.
use it.
Yep. Yeah. So
if you can give me the name sometime, I know you're busy.
Yeah, I will. But it's Heather Boucher's the one heading it up.
Rick's wife.
Rick's wife. Yep.
That worked with me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, and she'd be the one that you'd really want to contact for that.
Sounds good.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's kind of coming together. It's going to be a good celebration this year, I think. Especially if we are able to have the bonfire again. The Remax balloon, the hot air balloon's coming again this year. The fire department is gonna be putting on a chicken barbecue,
You should
and
get that old fire truck pulled out there and washed and waxed just for display.
Get the hand pumper there and they
Yeah,
can
and
put the
then-
bonfire
and
out with the hand pumper.
imagine.
And have a
Yeah.
sign out saying,
We were told it
would like to
works.
restore
Yeah.
this, donations accepted.
Yeah,
What
yeah, that's good
Perfect.
advertising. Yeah, that's excellent.
thing. You said the fire department will be there.
Yeah,
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 it seems to me, I don't know, I can't speak for them. Seems like it'd be fun.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so and it is vendors, games, bounce houses, doing Nerf wars again.
Are they having like a kids Olympics kind of thing? I've heard when we started talking about Memorial Day committee and parade and how we celebrate it, and then I heard several people say there used to be like bike races and I think it was on the 4th of July celebration
Yeah.
where they had these New Ipswich Olympics just for kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they would have jumping contests and bike race and
Hmm.
I don't know. Being
I know that.
Ipswich, probably wheelie riding and
Yeah.
who knows what they had, but
Well,
I'm not
the
sure.
police could find out who the troublemakers are, have a burnout competition.
Yeah.
They can write down the license plates and then keep an eye on them.
I have a feeling they have a pretty good idea who the troublemakers are.
Yeah.
I hope they never catch them, I like it.
You're funny, Steve.
Yeah, because I know that they did at one point had like a bicycle rodeo, but that was geared towards little kids and
Yeah,
getting
this
them
is
to
what-
promote like helmet wearing, and
Oh,
the police
really?
department took part in it and actually handed out helmets free to
Oh.
the kids that came, and yeah.
Were they doing that?
But not like that sounds pretty cool though.
Yeah,
Like that,
I mean
like
that takes a lot of planning.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
is
Were they doing like three-legged races?
I don't know. I'm not sure what it was. Yeah. I don't recall. And if I had even gone to it, so was that a number of years ago? Or?
yeah, I didn't even ask. They just people would say, "Oh, I remember."
Yeah. Yeah, and then just to kind of give you guys an overall update of even just the rec department in general, that committee's looking the sports committee. What has been the sports committee over the last few years is really looking at the overall, like trying to make the rec department more sustainable and having discussions of how that can happen, because the rec department plays an important role in the community coming together, for certain events, and it could be better if there's more consistent structure to it. So, just let them know, coming up on budget season, so now's the time to, look at that overall picture and, what this could look like going forward, and map out, potential plans
You
and
get SOPs for everything.
and actually, write everything down and like flows and how
And then
things could
when
go.
you
And
change to the standard operating procedures, you go come to the selectmen and say, I'd like to add this to the
what the
department.
what the key positions are, like, or what they could be in the rec department, and
What's
really try to
responsible.
make it something that's more stable than what it's been in the past.
So has there been well, obviously there hasn't been a nominee for rec director yet. has
No.
there?
No. So Mindy's helping out in like an admin role right now, like consultant, and that's been going great because she's really helped Heather quite a lot, like with tying up some loose ends, like Autumn Fest wise. Been working with Shauna, like in regards to pool items, and then just some necessary maintenance things down at the park. So which that sports committee is in favor of, like her like being a part of this whole thing. It's just not making a quick step to repeat what's been done in the past. Like to have that same role with that same, like the same old responsibilities, which it was pretty much everything falls on one person for, like
Well,
it's
you need
basically a
director
volunteer
and you need
position.
People that for him to or her to direct.
So looking at really just trying to come up with that overall potential structure going forward.
I think that would be more
Calling it a tree.
more conducive to the limited budgets that we work with.
Yeah. Well, and then possibly, pressuring us a little bit, like to, because there is some stabilization points that we need, and there is consistent calls from all age groups in the community for more and different events. So, and it's one of the departments that we don't have like a truly, like a paid position, like to have someone they're thinking about that the majority of the week, like week in and week out. Unless you're willing to just dedicate all of your time for for free and just the love of it, but then that you get burnt out and then you leave, and then you wait for that next individual,
And then the next individual does everything their way, so everything changes halfway, then the third guy changes things again.
Exactly.
No standardization.
So it's hard running that tightrope of adding more bureaucracy versus letting it's kind of been free like at this point, and for the most part robust, but we're definitely missing out on senior type events. Because a lot of the older people that are involved with the town are already giving their time in so many ways that to try to burden them with, because that's what it comes down to. Oh, you want to do something?
Yeah.
Go ahead and head it up, and it's just that well is running dry, and there's not a lot of people now. Everybody just go, move, and we all need money to live. So that's just some of the considerations. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that group in the next month or so. I'm just really trying to help host the discussion and play both sides of the coin. The pluses and
You have one
minuses.
director of all town special events, special things like Autumn Fest, Memorial Day, restoring the fire trucks. I mean, one person coordinate that and have people under them to do it, combine all of this instead of creating
Yeah, it's called
Well-
Sean.
more, well,
They're trying to build that
instead
tree
of
right
making
now.
5
Jason, the
directors for
tree,
5
the
different
tree.
things.
Yeah, it's not. So it's
I know.
no, but I definitely agree, and that's a good point. Even Memorial Day committee may even be something that could fall under this if it was built right and healthy, like for that to thrive
Right, you
on
have
its
to
own. And that's the difficult part, is trying to find that authority level in the different positions where it remains a group discussion for a lot of things. Though you definitely need a lead to things, but depending on who the lead is, it may squash like one aspect if that
Need a
lead person's
non-biased
not
lead.
sports
Yeah.
oriented or not event oriented, then those things kind of like go by the wayside.
Well, that's why
So-
you get an SOP first.
Yeah, and writing down
and
exactly
you have
what-
to follow everything.
Yeah, the expectation. What's it called? The job descriptions. For each role.
Knowledge,
Yeah.
skills, and abilities.
So it's exciting. It's, stressful, but at the same time, hopefully, something will be put together for the future of the rec
Call it the
department
fun committee.
and community. Yeah, because there's just so many things that come up, and even this afternoon, Mindy's all now her mind's running on rec things and past discussions, and in interacting with the trustees, for some Stearns Burton's requests ahead of the expenditures. It was brought up, what about them soccer fields again? So she called me right away, like, yes, I know, but like, take a breath. Like, we need, like, it's more like we need people like pushing this, not just, of course we know people, that can do it, but at the same time, there's got to be more energy than just one or two behind an effort like that. And it's a multi-year, effort. So it just kind of, it'd be good to have a group that looked at that specifically, like those fields improvements, and it definitely would be nice to see out there, because then that would give our park time to recover, because it gets pretty beat up. Spring, right, the grass doesn't have time to grow before the kids are out there playing baseball and running around and tearing up the turf, and then summer hits and dry, and then we're right back hammering it, with soccer, on the weekends and all during the week, and it's a pretty busy place down, baseball season, soccer seasons, the park. So if we could spread it out a bit, would be neat. And there's all sorts of ideas being floated, forever. People have spoken about a pavilion down at the park. Again, one of my, original motive, like hopefully like we'll get to it, community center, like rec focused, but then that hasn't been the push. Like they've just been kind of just like running the sports and keeping stuff going for people and adding things here and there. But now, hopefully a new energy will come behind everything, and we'll find that right growth pattern, because a lot again fell on one person's shoulders, and that's not right, because you
need
get abused to
basically
some
a park
degree.
improvement plan.
Yeah.
Like we used to have airports, airport improvement plans, that would be the 10-year forecast of what they want to do.
Yep.
And how to do it.
I think the tone and the culture is right now. People, want more out of like their recreational, aspects, because we hear that even just out of the discussion for taking down some trees at the, transfer station. What came out of that? All of a sudden is, oh, like if you're gonna do that, we'll go in and put trails, and yeah, it could be used for walking trails and more snowmobile trails in the winter, and then four wheelers in the spring or whatever, or like however it can go. The airplane club that wants to go, so it would be great to have a really good, strong rec department and committee, to help facilitate that for our community, so that we can turn a lot of this talk into action.
Plus, that committee could talk to the people that want all the stuff to get them to vote on the budget to increase the parks budget in order to do all this stuff.
Oh yeah, that all goes hand in hand. Yeah.
So when they vote, they'll know why the rec department wants an extra $1 million.
Well, $1 million. Jeez.
Well,
Yeah,
that-
you're really aiming for the stars, Steve.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that with budgeting starting in September, we have to start thinking about where we want to put the focus on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know there were some areas that we didn't quite get to touch last year, with pay rates and different things, so,
I think we were pretty fair with last year with that with the money.
Oh, yeah, well, with that overall,
Yeah.
the cost of living. Yeah, no, I do agree, like we were there, but then in general, that didn't help where it's still behind, like at the DPW, so, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that department with, their, Peter, their new, director, at the front. We have, some new faces and key leadership roles, and we'll see. It'll be an interesting budget season for sure. So everybody wants to remain frugal, but then at the same time,
They want everything, but they don't want
it has to
pay for it.
operate.
Yeah.
Well, I think the community understands. It's just difficult in our town because it falls on
People in general
homeowners instead
want
of,
it, but
we don't have a lot of business infrastructure, and that's where, it's.
Well, they don't want businesses, which is a big tax generator.
I try to stay away from that term "they."
I use they, I meant the community that votes.
Yeah.
They don't want big business or chain stores, but those are big money makers for the
And
town.
I think
That's
that,
debatable.
some of that
Okay.
dialogue is changing.
Yeah.
Um,
I never researched it, it's just what I thought,
mhm.
so.
Yeah, because as we come across different things, like even at the planning board level, I'm sure you're seeing at the ZBA, there's more and more commercial requests, and we do get some pushback, like from the different areas in town that those, like businesses want to go into, but at the same time, you can't fight it back forever, and these are local people that are running their businesses in town. Do we want to continually shift them out of town when they're generating, revenue for them, their families, and keeping it local essentially,
Right.
and then finding out what the best way to address that is, and
It's not an easy job.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah, and
It's a tight wire.
and there's so many points of transition and things changing that it's just sort of like kind of like which is the right way to push, or like make sure that it's
There
going
is
to go
no
in the
right answer, you just gotta pick the least wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what you decide, someone's not gonna like it.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's why
That's
Sean has been pushing for a master plan.
Yep.
Give a
I think
feel
that-
for the
I think
community.
it should be a master plan.
Yeah.
But it's well overdue.
Yeah. So that's and just
I'll write it up for you, I'll tell you everything I want, and that'll be the master.
I'll write mine up too.
No, you only need one.
Yeah,
Those talks are coming together, I believe, at the planning board level. So hopefully that'll take hold and put them more on notice in the last few meetings that I've been to, like just letting them know like this is the time we funded it. They asked for $25,000, we approved $25,000, and there hasn't been any action on it yet, but there's been some talk and some planning, and I did miss the last meeting, so I don't know what occurred, and I haven't read through those minutes yet. but I'll get an update next week, so I don't wanna speak out of turn, but I know that it's, you know, it's on their radar and on the chair's radar, and yeah, we definitely need it, cause we need that master plan for other things
Well,
too,
the more
like with some of the
long-term,
grant things that we need,
Yeah.
we won't get approved for it without a master plan, because that master plan is basically, it's supposed to be a survey of the full community. So then, the reason that you go off of that is that that's your voter,
base.
the voting base saying this is what we want,
Yeah.
you know, without having to go to the polls to
And
vote for it.
that helps, the more detailed it is, the more it helps when parties change in different committees, when different people leave and different people come in. It stays constant because you have a plan to go by.
It's kind of, it's funny, I'm not, you know, speaking against any like
I'm
past,
not
past
either. I don't
boards or
know.
anything, but it's just, it's odd when you read through that last master plan that was done, you know, 20 plus years ago, and the direction that is spoken about in that master plan and where we are today, like, and we still have a, you know, fledgling, you know, like just sort of like a wobbly rec department when it was pretty clear, like what the people wanted, like out of like rec and
Yeah.
like different aspects of the community, and we're not there.
Right.
You know, like so that document wasn't necessarily, you know, adhered to.
Strictly
Yeah.
adhered to.
And I get it, like it probably was funding, you know, issues
And so many other things popping up every time you wanted to do it, something else came up.
but then you have to at least give the people the opportunity to vote in March on these different aspects. Like, so put together warrant articles that are focused on, you know, bolstering, you know, like the things that the
Things from the master plan.
exactly, yep. And if they vote it down, they vote it down. But if they
If
Yeah.
they wanted it and still want it, they'll vote it up.
exactly, yep. So it'll be great. I'd like to see what comes from that. Sorry, I didn't get my usual 15-minute prep before, so I apologize for taking you guys' time just to review my notes. Alright, yeah, and just a reminder to us that September 11th is supposed to be our kickoff with all the department heads and the FAC for the budget season. So that's coming in the next, you know, few weeks too.
Seems like you just finished the budget.
It never stops really.
Really doesn't.
Yeah, no, you finish it, and then you know, a couple months to get it voted in, get it voted on, and then you have to execute it, and yeah.
Then it's time to start over.
The start right back over. So, but that, and that's where it's been great too with this FAC, the way that they've, you know, been able to conduct themselves and like structure it. It has alleviated, you know, a lot of burden from the select board, you know, so that we are able to review non-public minutes now.
Well, that remains to be seen.
Yeah. Alright, so that's, I think that's all the updates that I really had. Jason?
Yeah, just looking back at last week, what were we, if you could refresh my memory, what were we waiting on Old Beaver Road? There was because we didn't make a decision.
Yeah. So
We said
old,
we were gonna think about it. Was there other information that we were waiting on before we made a decision on how to proceed with that?
hold on.
It says meet at the 19th.
Yep.
This was, what was that? That's what my note says. What was the 19th? It was on Saturday. I'm not sure what it was. Oh, the HOA is meeting on the 19th. Is that what my note was saying?
No, we're supposed to come back
HOA?
mid-September.
Oh, that's September 19th?
I believe so.
Oh,
Or,
okay.
oh, that doesn't make sense if we're like the 11th, right? Why do I have? Oh, because we're going to the
Oh, right here.
yeah, no, yeah, but the meeting with the FAC on the 11th, we're going to their meeting. That's what it was. September 11th. So we have 2 meetings that week, the 11th and the 12th. So we're just attendees of the FAC.
Okay, I can make that one, but I can't make the one on Tuesday.
Okay. Yep.
We'll get an email reminder, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah,
So
I
do
think-
you think that this was the 19th of September that we're gonna meet with the petitioners?
Yeah, and I don't recall exactly what Debbie was looking into, but there was some aspect that we needed to get some clarification on.
That was, I believe it was that tax.
Yeah, the betterment tax
Betterment tax?
and how to
Things she
how to
wanted.
execute that.
We asked her if she could look into that, yeah.
Yep.
How that would be.
Yep.
So that was the September 19th.
Yes.
And then the other thing I just noticed in my notes from last week or the week before,
Mhm.
Lou, did a mirror get put up?
Not yet, because I don't think I haven't seen it come in or anything.
Yeah, they have the mirror.
Oh, they have the
I
mirror?
don't know if they put it up yet, but I was
No,
informed.
it wasn't there yesterday.
Oh. I think they have it.
That'll be a big help.
I
Because
agree. Yeah, I use that room.
when the snow builds up, the highway department pushes it over on that left-hand side. It just makes it really blind to,
It is a
Jump
little
out
bit
there.
dangerous. One of the, not many, but there's a few dangerous intersections around.
yeah. And it's a cheap solution.
At least a help.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's it for me.
Okay. Trying to look back at the minutes for, or not the minutes, but the agenda for next week and the timing of the reps. Is that, I believe that's at 7.
So
Yeah.
this brownfield, we have to review 256 pages because we do not want to waste a minute.
So, did you look it up?
Yeah, I looked it up. It's what it is, 256 pages.
Yeah.
And that wasn't brownfield, that was Ransom's report.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, yeah, I can't find it, but at any rate, just to put this out in TV land, you know, a reminder to people and get it into our minutes that we're gonna have our state reps in, next Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. And it'll be great, you know, to have more people come in and participate, in that.
That's next Tuesday, this was state reps coming.
Yep,
Yeah.
at 7.
They're just gonna update us on what's
Yeah.
going on at the State House and be there for any questions that people have.
Yeah, because they, you know, this is our opportunity, they're giving us their ears.
Yeah.
You know, our opportunity to voice, you know, our thoughts and opinions on what's going on at the state and how we'd like them to represent us. So that's always good. I think it's excellent that they're willing to come in, you know, and hear that, because I'd imagine it would be refreshing for them to, you know, have that touch with the community.
Now, did you hear if the senator was gonna be able to make it?
I haven't.
But the invite was put out to him though.
Yep.
Our
Yep.
senator as well. Nice.
So yeah, that should be a good meeting. Actually, we're looking to do it quarterly, and then the last one had to be postponed, and so hopefully, you know, we'll get onto that quarterly schedule and at least, you know, hear from them,
Yeah.
a few times a year. Yeah. And you always have the opportunity to reach out too, because I know that the group that's there now, Jim, Diane, and Shane, are all make themselves available to all their communities and the communities that they represent up at the state level. So it's excellent to have an active group like that.
They have been.
Yeah.
And all three of them had a impressive attendance record, which is a hard thing in the New Hampshire State House. To get somebody with a good attendance it's hard to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we owe
Happy
owe them that.
Yep.
Yeah, I did a gratitude for that.
Alright, so, yeah, thanks for coming in, Steve, you know, thank you to everybody that attended this evening. Thank you to Ron, again, you know, for, you know, giving us your time and dedication.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Have a good
All
night.
right, you have a good
Have a good night, Steve.